All right, hello people who are watching this video. This is just the first half of 4-3. Are you guys listening? Just the first half of 4-3, okay? Dividing polynomials, I always separate into 2 days because it's kind of a lot, a little bit. It's kind of a little bit of a lot, okay? So dividing polynomials, there's 2 ways of dividing. The first one is long division. That is the front side of the note sheet. That is what we're doing today, long division. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing synthetic division, which is on the back side, okay? Out of those 2, the harder one is long division, which is what we're doing today. So typically we'd like to go like from easy to hard, but we're going to do the hard stuff today because then tomorrow will be very easy. So synthetic division is way easier than long division. So if you can get it today, you're going to be good, okay? For homework, the homework is also separated into 2 pieces. So I want you to look at this homework sheet. And I want you to, at the top, circle the words long division. Do you see where I have circled them? Can you see what I see? What? No, you can't even see what I see. What are you doing? Okay? I'm scrolling and you can't see. Okay? Circle at the top where it says long division.
We should watch Netflix.
Long division, right there. Circle that. Okay? That means that the only problems that you have for homework are these 3 problems. That is it for today. What? Okay, tomorrow, circle where it says synthetic division, and these are your 3 homework problems that you have for tomorrow. Boom. Very nice. We like it, okay? All right, so long division. All right, I need your full and undivided attention for the next like 15 minutes, and then you're going to be golden. It's going to be good. You're going to understand how this works, okay? All right, before I'm gonna do an easier problem, or hopefully it's easy. Remington came in and he goes, is this like what we did in like, I don't know, elementary school long division? Yes, it is. Except our long division has X's involved that we're dividing. But it's the same process. It's exactly the same steps as the way you would do it for long division like this. So we're gonna practice. We're gonna start long division like this, and we're gonna see if you can remember how to do this. Refresh your brain. Like, it's been a while since you've done these without a calculator, right? Okay, so let's talk through the process here. So put this at the top of your paper, at the top corner. Give enough room so that you like can write below it, okay? So 14793 divided by 2. And of course we know that it's not gonna go in there evenly because it's not an even number, right? It ends in 3, so we're gonna have a remainder. Okay, you got it written down? Ready for the steps? Okay, refresh your brain. We ask, how many times does 2 go into 1? 0. It doesn't go into 1. If you want to put the 0 up at the top there, you can. You don't necessarily have to, because then we skip straight to, we skip straight to, how many times does 2 go into 14? 7. We put a 7 up at the top here, okay? Then what do?
Minus 14.
We put 7 times 2, which is 14, and then we subtract it. That's a very, very important step. Remember that we subtract that 14, okay? And that ends up being 0. And then you drop the 7 down, right? Are you writing these steps down? Toby, are you writing these steps down? Okay. Then we do the process again. What do you take times 2 to get 7? Or how many times does 2 go into 7? 3. So we put 3 at the top. Then we multiply the 3 back through. What's 3 times 2? 6. And then we subtract it. What's 7 minus 6? 1, and then we drop down the 9. How many times does 2 go into 19? 9 times, and then we multiply it back through. 9 times 2 is 18, and then we subtract it. 19 minus 18 is 1, but then I drop down the 3, and we're almost done. We got to do it one more time. How many times does 2 go into 13? 6 times. 6 times 2 is 12, and I subtract the 12, and that is 1. And normally I would go and say like 0.5 because that's 1/2, but here's how I want you to write your remainder. Write it as 1/2. And I'll show you why that is here in a second. I know you're tempted to say 0.5 because that's like continuing the process, but we're gonna write it as 1/2 because that's how we'll write our answer down below when we have a remainder, okay? Sometimes you don't have a remainder, right? If it goes into it evenly, you won't have a remainder, and that's really nice when that happens. But sometimes you will. So we'll experience both of those. So 7,396 and 1/2 is what it ends up being when we divide, yeah? Do you remember this process, kind of? Refreshing your brain? Okay, it's important to note that what we're doing next has X's involved and all that stuff, but it is exactly the same process as that. okay? Exactly the same process, all right? This one, example 1, you can do in your head. You don't have to use that process for. This is when we are dividing by, circle the word, monomial. What does monomial mean? Mono means 1, okay? We are dividing by one piece. The 3xy is one piece, right? 3xy, they're all together, that's one piece. So I'm dividing, all right? How many pieces is this top?
2.
1, 2, 3. There's 3 pieces that are separated by pluses and minuses, right? 3 pieces on the top, okay? So we're just going to go piece by piece. I'm going to take just this first chunk, 6x to the 4th, y to the 3rd, and I'm going to divide by 3xy, okay? So we're going to write what we have left over. It's kind of like when we're pulling stuff out, like what's left over, okay? So if I take 6 and I divide by 3, 2. If I take x to the 4th and divide off an x to the 3rd, I have 3 of them left, right? If I have y to the 3rd and divide off a y, that is y to the 2nd. Now my first piece is done. Make sense? Okay? All right, now I start with my middle piece. This chunk right here. What's 12 divided by 3? 4. Okay, now, here's my pet peeve. Plus 4. Make sure you put a plus sign in there, okay? X to the 3rd divided by x. X squared, you have 2 left, right? Y to the 2nd divided by y is just 1y, all right? Now we're ready for the 3rd piece. 3rd chunk. Negative 18 divided by 3. Negative 6. What's x squared divided by x? X. What's y divided by y?
No y.
Nothing. So that's it. Okay? That's when you're dividing by a monomial. You don't actually have to do the process that we did up above, right? You don't have to do the long division. It's basically like the process of pulling stuff out, right? Okay? Good? Happy with that? Okay, now, here we go. This is where you really have to focus, because if you stop listening for like 5 seconds, then you get lost in the whole process and it's very confusing, okay? So we are taking this thing and we're dividing by this thing, okay? So when we set it up, I'm going to put it off to the side so I have lots of room to write underneath. X minus 5 is what we're dividing by, and it goes on the outside, okay? The other stuff goes on the inside, okay? So get him set up to look like that. Now, the problem that we just did was dividing by a monomial. This right here, x minus 5, is not a monomial. Do you know what it is? It's a binomial because there are 2 pieces. X and 5 are separated. Those are 2 pieces. That's not a monomial. So we have to do this the hard way. We have to do it like this, okay? X minus 5 goes on the outside. Everything else goes on the inside. We're ready to go, okay? All right, now, I'm going to keep referring back up to our example that we had up here. Ready? The first thing we asked was how many times does 2 go into 14, right? Okay, or what do you have to take times 2 to get 14? I'm going to ignore the 5 right now, and I'm just going to focus on this x, right? What do I have to take x times to get x squared? X. Where's that going to go? Above, at the top, right here. X goes there, okay? Then, what did we do? Not yet. We got to write it down first. We've got to, like, multiply it back through. But you're right, we will subtract it, okay? So I'm going to multiply this x times this x. X squared, that goes right below here. And since the 5 is there, also we got to multiply the 5 by x, right? So that would be minus 5x. Anybody lost at this point? Are we good? Okay. Then what do? What's the next very, very important thing? We have to subtract them, right? Okay. Just like we subtracted the 14 up here. But we know that when we subtract, we have to distribute that subtraction through so it changes that 5 to be plus 5. Does that make sense? Minus 5x will be plus 5 because you're subtracting it, right? Okay. Do we see how this works? Then I add stuff, right? Like the 14 and the minus 14 canceled. So that first piece is going to cancel, yeah? Okay, what's 3x plus 5x? 8x. That goes down, okay? And then drop the minus 40, yeah? Okay, then I start the process over again one more time. Whoa, what just happened? I don't know. I'm trying to hit my eraser. Sorry, guys, I'm making you dizzy. Okay, now I start the process over again. So what do we have to take times x to get 8x? 8, okay? But there's my pet peeve. You put positive 8, right? Okay. Then we multiply that 8 back through. So 8 times x gives you 8x, right? What's 8 times minus 5? Negative 40. Very, very important that you flip the sign. So that becomes a positive 40, right? So 8x and minus 8x cancel. Negative 40, positive 40, cancel. So that means I have no remainder, right? 0. It cancels out to 0. No remainder. So what's the answer? X plus 8. I have just divided successfully. X plus 8 is my answer. Yeah. But it's the same process as what you did for long division when you were like in 5th grade or whatever. What grade do you guys do that long division in?
I think it's like
5th grade? 4th grade maybe?
fourth and fifth.
4th and 5th? Okay.
My brother's doing it in fourth. I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. We're going to skip example 3. And we're going to do example 4 and 5 and then we're done. Okay? Example 4. Example 4. All right. We are taking this thing and we are dividing by this thing. Okay? So, when I do this, which piece goes on the outside? Sure. What goes on the outside? The second part, right? X squared minus 5x. Okay? That goes on the outside.
What if it's that divided by that?
What? You're dividing by that. The other stuff goes on the inside. X cubed minus 2x squared minus 9x plus 18. Are we good to go? Like you know where we're at? I'm setting it up ready to go. We're dividing by that. Okay? But the first part on the inside, what you're dividing by goes on the outside, yeah? Okay, now, we're dividing by, not a binomial anymore. Now, what is this? That's a trinomial. It actually doesn't make things any harder. It doesn't make it harder. Like it's not more steps if you're dividing by a trinomial, okay? What makes the process longer is if, like I am dividing an x to the third by an x squared. There's not much difference between those two, right? If I was dividing like an x to the 7th power divided by an x squared, then we would have lots of steps. It would be really long and really like far down. We would divide, okay? So it really doesn't make it any longer, okay? All right, same process again. What do we take times x squared to get x to the third? I just need an x, right? Okay, so I put an x up above. Now we multiply it back through. So x times x squared. X to the third goes there, okay? What's x times negative 5x? It should be minus 5x squared, okay? I don't flip my signs till the very end because then I forget which ones I flipped and which one I didn't, okay? So x times 6 is plus 6x and then I flip my signs, okay? So this becomes minus, this becomes plus, this becomes minus, yeah? Are we doing okay so far? Okay? All right, let's add them together. X to the third and negative x to the third, gone. How many x squareds will you have? Negative 2 plus 5, 3x squared, yeah. Okay? Then I have negative 9x minus 6x. Negative 15x, because the 6 is negative, right? Okay? And then we have to drop the 18 down, so plus 18. There we go. Good? Okay, now I repeat my process again. So here we go. Starting over. What do you take times x squared to get 3x squared? 3? Does he need an x? He does?
No.
I think he just needs 3. And it's a positive 3. Then we multiply back through. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. Okay, what about 3 times negative 5x? Should be negative. Negative 15x. Okay, what's 3 times 6? Positive 18. And then flip the signs. So minus, this will become plus 15. This will become minus. Oh, man. 3x squared minus 3x squared, gone. Negative 15x plus 15x, gone. 18 minus 18, gone. What does that mean?
X plus 3.
0. That means my remainder is 0, so the answer is x plus 3. That's all. We haven't had a remainder yet. I bet you the last one does.
So do you always have to flip the sign no matter what?
You always have to flip the sign no matter what. It's just like up here where we go through and each one of these numbers we're subtracting every time. Okay? But you just drag the negative all the way through, which means you're flipping the sign on everything.
Okay.
Yep. Good question. Okay? All right, good? Ready? Last one. Now this one, somebody last period said there's no division symbol. Like we're not dividing by this thing. So does that mean we multiply? Like how does this work? But I do have a negative 1 here. What does that mean? If that's to the negative 1 power, how does that work? Yeah. So if it's to the negative 1 power, to get that to be the positive 1 power and move that down below, right? So x squared plus x minus 2, that's what that means, right? Now it's to the positive first power. Okay? So it's gone here. We've moved it down below. But what does it mean when I have a fraction that looks like this? That just means divide, right? Like that over that just means we're dividing by it, right? Okay? So when it has that negative 1 power, that just means you're dividing because it's like technically on the bottom, right? Okay, so here we go. X squared plus x minus 2 goes on the outside. Okay. Minus 4x plus 14. All right, get all that stuff written down, and then we'll get ready. Okay? I feel like I need some water. I'm gonna go eat some water. All right, ready?
No,
Okay.
I haven't wrote it down yet.
Okay.
I know.
I have it.
I have no idea. I'm not paying attention because I'm writing this down.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, you got it.
We're ready? All right, let's start the process. First thing. What do you take times x squared to get x to the 4th power? X squared, right? 2 of the x's, right? X squared, right? He needs an x squared. Okay, then if I multiply him back through, x squared times x squared is x to the 4th power. X squared times x is x to the 3rd power. X squared times negative 2, negative 2x squared. Okay, very, very important part. You switch the signs on it. You subtract it all, which means you flip the signs on everything. Okay? All right, now, x to the 4th power minus x to the 4th power goes away. I'm going to tell you that if that first part doesn't cross off, you did it wrong. Like, it has to cross off, okay? But the problem is here, x to the 3rd minus x to the 3rd, that second one crosses off also. Huh. That's weird. Okay, how many x squareds are you going to have? Negative 4x squared, because that's a positive 2, right? Okay, then you're going to drop your minus 4x down. Okay, but because 2 of them canceled here, we have to also drop the 14 down as well. Because 2 of them canceled, you have to drop the second one down. Otherwise, I have 3 pieces here that will eventually go down here, and I'll have nothing to add it to. Does that make sense why we have to drop the 14 down? Okay, so we repeat the process again. It's the same thing again. What do you take times x squared to get negative 4x squared? What do you take times x squared to get negative 4x squared? Negative 4, right? Okay, now I'm going to put the negative 4 above here. It's kind of like we skipped a spot right there. We skipped a place, okay? So I'm going to put the negative 4 straight above where we're working at, okay? Because this guy canceled, there's going to be no spot there, okay? Now we multiply back through. What's negative 4 times x squared? Negative 4x squared. What's negative 4 times x? Negative 4x. What's negative 4 times negative 2? Positive 8. But, very important, we have to flip the sign on everything because we're subtracting it. Plus, plus, minus. Okay, so 4x squareds, those go away. Minus 4x plus 4x goes away. Is our remainder going to be 0? No, we are going to have a remainder. What's 14 minus 8? 6. I do have a remainder. I always put a box around my remainder. 6 is my remainder. Okay, how do we write that as a remainder? Yeah, I'm going to do plus. I heard somebody say it. Maybe it was Ethan or Brian. Somebody. Plus 6 over x squared plus x minus 2. That's how we write our remainder. So that's our answer. Okay? You see why we write it like that? Do you remember up above when we were doing this problem, I said don't write it as 0.5, write it as 1, which was our remainder, over 2, which is what we were dividing by, right? That's why we wrote it like that, okay? So we do plus 6 over whatever we were dividing by, okay? Now, if you want to rewrite it and have like the x squared closer to the 4, like that's x squared minus 4 and not have a huge gap in there, Also, this means x squared plus 0x minus 4. So if you need to put a spot in there, you can put 0x in that spot. That's fine. That's technically what that means, okay?
If you don't, though, will you?
No, if you don't, that's fine. Yeah, technically, I would just leave it as x squared minus 4. That's fine. Okay, plus the 6 over whatever, right? Okay, but just to have that make sense, like this is x squared, why is this just a number? Where is my x value? Because they go in order, right? It's because there was 0x, because it canceled off, okay? All right, now, one thing before you start to do the homework assignment that I want to address is that, because that's all that I have for you today, you have 3 problems for homework. 1, 2, 3. I want to focus on the setup, first of all. This is your polynomial, and this is what you're dividing by. So I'm taking this guy and dividing by x minus 3. I give you a spot to show all your work, right? And then this box is where the answer goes. Don't worry about the format for the solution that they have. Like, don't worry about the notation for that. Just write out what you got for a solution, okay? Now, I'm going to talk about the middle one really, really fast. Ready? Really, really fast, okay? Because this one has a glitch in it, okay? 2x to the 5th power minus 15x to the 3rd power. Those are going in order, but I don't have an x to the 4th power, right? You see where my x to the 4th power is not? When you write out your division, like this will go under the bar, right? That'll go under the bar. 2x to the 5th power is how you'll start. You have to put plus 0x to the 4th power, and then you can do your minus your 15x to the 3rd, dot, dot, dot. You have to put this part in as a 0, otherwise your spacing will be wrong. You will be like all off on your spacing, okay? So if he's ever missing an exponent, like here, he doesn't have an x to the 4th power, please put 0x to the 4th power or any of them that are missing, right? Because otherwise your spacing will be not in the right spot, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, your exponents won't be lined up correctly when you do your division, okay? So make a note of that, put that down. That is the middle problem. You have to put a 0x to the 4th power in there if he's missing it, okay?
Can I already put it in work?
What? That's fine. Yep, put it in the work part. Yep, that's fine. Okay, make sure you put a 0x to the 4th power in there, though, before you start dividing. Otherwise, you'll be all screwed up. Okay? Good? Happy with that? All right, that's all I have. You have 3 homework problems. You have lots and lots and lots of time. Woo! Okay? All right, there you go. Use your time to work.